Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Reset to Healthier Relationships, Sunday nights at 9. Rufus and I have created this format as a safe place to discuss trials, struggles, and victories in past and present relationships. This is not a one-size-fits-all discussion. There is no topic, too minor or major, that we cannot discuss. We encourage everyone to participate and speak their truth. This is a non-judgmental zone, so talk as much or as little as you would like. Tonight we have an awesome topic, but before we get started, I would like to give time for Mr. Carpenter to introduce himself.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Rufus Carpenter, and I'm pleasured to be here this afternoon. And I appreciate you for coming because there's so many other things you could have been doing, and you chose to be here with us Sunday nights at 9 p.m. And we thank you for that. Tonight is a great topic. I think it's something that's kind of light and something that we all need to look at times. But before we get into that, let me tell you a little bit about my background. I come to this space a little different than most. My tour with relationship building started as a little child in a family of 14, a 3 bedroom, 1 bathroom house. It was quite interesting that 16 people was trying to use one bathroom, and that wasn't the hard part. The hard part, sleeping with four of your siblings and one is occasional bedwetter. You understand what the essence of human connection is all about. My story didn't stop there. I was married for 27 years. And being married that long, you learn things about trust, commitment. You learn about compromise. You understand a lot. But these are the things that not so much you need for a healthy or a successful marriage or relationship, but these are the things you need to understand the human relationships in total, the essence of it. My story still didn't stop there. I joined the United States Army, and when I was in the Army, one of my jobs was human relation and race relation a leader, where I had the responsibility of going to any unit issues with relationships or any type of race type issues. I was the first on the scene, and I would do what's called an intake form. And with the intake form, I had to decide which level of authority or what resources we had to throw at trying to get that problem solved. Okay. So tonight I'm here to represent the male perspective in our conversation. The night again is a great topic, we could go 3 or 4 different ways with the topic tonight. So I just can't wait till we dig into it. Glenda?
Okay. All right. Tonight's topic, everyone, is man, how can you just, man, how can you just walk away? Now, Mr. Carpenter, I am going to let you kick this one off to explain, man, how can you just walk away?
Okay, good. I'm glad. I'm glad to do that because the night's topic's supposed to be a real light topic tonight.
Okay.
And the topic it says, man, how can you just walk away? And the same thing, woman, how can you just walk away? When you first hear that, you're saying, wait a minute now, walk away, man or woman, why you walk away? And we can go several different directions with this. But this is designed to get you to look at relationship, to have you to reset where you are. If you're in a relationship, you get a chance to step back and look at that relationship. And when you look at it, is it going the way you wanted to go or not going the way you wanted to go? If it's going the way you wanted to go, great. And if it's going the way, great. And also, you got to realize all relationships erode in time. Even if you have a great relationship, there's times where you got to put in some work to keep it going great. And that's the ebb and flow of relationships. But when you look around at your relationship and you take an assessment and it's not going well, what does that look like? What do you have to do when your relationship isn't going well? That's what the night subject is all about. When you take a step back and you notice, first thing, what are some of the things you notice when your relationship's not going well? What are some of the first things you notice when your relationship just not going well and you begin to realize like you're stuck? You begin to realize like, wow, am I where I need to be? Is this serving me or not serving me? And that's where we're going tonight topic. And a lot of times when it's not serving you, some people just walk away. Whether it's a man or woman, they just say, peace out, stick a fork in it, I'm gone. You can have a house, you can have a boat, you can have the cars, you can have it all. I'm gone. You can have the furniture. But not all relationships mean you gotta just cut and run. That's not it. Sometimes you just gotta step back and reassess. And that's where that starts our conversation tonight. Let's talk about that. What are some of the times when you look at your relationship, and I'm sure all of us have been through relationships where it wasn't quite serving you and you had to reevaluate or you had to reset. And that's where reset a healthy relationship come from. This is our basic topic tonight. This is our core area of expertise tonight. So we're gonna have a good time with this one. So, but not all the time do you have to always leave or redo the relationship. But you have to stop and think. When you stop, what are some of the first things you look at? What are some of the first things you consider? What would be some of the first things, Glenda?
Am I a priority would be one of the first things I would think about. That's the first thing that, did you say something?
Perfect. Number one. That's the number
Oh,
one.
okay.
That's the number one.
Okay.
That's a perfect. Your
Okay.
priority. Have anyone on the line have ever been in a relationship where you realize you weren't the priority? Where you feel like you were overlooked, undervalued? Any experiences in that other than me?
How about I give the example that we have tonight?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'll give the example. For example, one woman, Shonda, decided to end her 12-year marriage after recognizing she had lost her identity. Through the reset process, she reconnected with her passions, built stronger bonds with her support network, and rediscovered the joy of living life on her terms. She now sees her self-worth and her relationships are stronger as a result. So it sounds like Shonda left. She lost herself in her marriage. She no longer she was more or less living for her spouse. Everything was about him, for him, and everything that she did was more circled and more, surrounded by only him, that she lost herself in the process, where she didn't even recognize herself in the mirror anymore. So after she ended her marriage, it sounds like she rediscovered herself and she started to build new relationships, and she was able to reconnect with a lot of things that she lost connection with. Probably she, like, you know how you used to have hobbies before you get into a marriage or a relationship, and once you connect with someone, those things that you used to do fall by the wayside. It sounds like that she got back into what she loved to do, and that's how she was able to discover herself and, just rediscover her passion. So
So
I
let's
know that I've experienced that myself. When I was married for those 8 years, I felt as if I had lost myself and my husband. And when I decided to end the relationship, it was a positive come out for me, because I was able to, find myself and find out what Glenda liked, what Glenda enjoyed, what makes Glenda happy.
put the kickstand. Let's back up a little bit because
Go
you
ahead.
had two parts of this. What you just in that illustration you just did. You
Okay.
had two different parts. First part is that when the lady, and we talked about Chandra. Hey, Chandra, we're not talking about the Chandra just came popped up. It's a different Chandra. The example we given, the lady name was Chandra. So we're not talking about the Chandra just online. So don't worry about it, okay? But in the illustration she gave, it was two parts to it. One part is that the lady wasn't a priority in her relationship. She realized it was one sided. Her spouse became a taker, and she never ever was valued in a relationship. So let's talk about that part first, because I'm sure we all have been in a relationship where it's been one sided, and you were just saying one day, if I can just stay in this long enough to this person see my worth and see my value, and maybe it'll get better. We've all held on too long, and we rode that relationship, and some of us rode it into the ground, and we still didn't become a priority, or we still didn't become equal in that relationship. Let's talk about that before we talk about the recovery part, because I've been in relationships where man, I've done all I could to make that lady feel like she was the best and like she was a queen and she was my all in all. And I didn't get that back in return. As a matter of fact, I damn near burnt out trying to do that. So, 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 if anybody else experiences anything like that at all, do anybody want to share? Now I know I'm not the only one worked hard in a relationship and didn't get it back. Sure. So everybody on the line has been in a balanced relationship where where you've been where you everything you've done has been appreciated and reciprocated, or
I
super
think this is going to be our
completely
blooper night.
all right, I'll leave that alone. Maybe it's too early in the conversation for people to talk. But there's a lot of relationships that I've seen and a case study that I've read that a lot of time it's been unbalanced. One was a giver and one was a taker. And the giver, the poor giver, just gave themselves out, whether it be whether it be male or female, just gave themselves out. And when you do that, you got to say, well, hey, look, how do I get self-care? How do I pull back? How do I get what I need out of this relationship? Do I just walk away from a relationship, which is our title? Man, how can you just walk away? A woman, how can you just walk away? Or do I reevaluate and tell my partner, my significant other, let's talk. We got to talk this out. Let's communicate so I can communicate my needs to you in this relationship. And then what did a conversation look like? If your relationship has been upside down for a year, 2 years, and I think in the example it was 12 years, in the illustrated example, 12 years. But I don't think we need to go that long. Even if 1 or 2 years, some of us want to go 6 months. So we got to do something different. But if you're in a relationship and it's one-sided, how do you bridge that gap? How do you say, stop, let's talk? How do you do that? How would you handle it, Glenda? Seems like me and you. How would you handle it, Glenda?
Well, I know that in the past, prior to having a breakup, I would, talk to the gentleman and say, hey, we need to talk. And they'll say, you want me to come by after work or something like that. And we'll sit down and talk about it, but I start by, stating we need to talk. And sometimes the individual is like, well, what we got to talk about? This relationship. And that's all I would give them. And they would come by after work or, hit me up after their day at work and we'll discuss it. And I've noticed that it'll go good for a little while, but it's never a consistent thing. And that's when the relationship just, we call it quits because it's not going anywhere. And it doesn't really take 5-10 years for you to get the results that you're looking for. You can see it as early as 6 months to a year, especially at our age. When you look at 30, 35 on up, it's like, do I want to date somebody indefinitely until Jesus come back? No. I don't want to have a boyfriend at 50 years old, 45 years old, 65 years old. That's it. My parents looking at me like, you still with that dude? It's like you have to be honest with yourself. If you're not getting what you need in your relationship, you have to have, I call it a relationship checkup. Hey, what's going on? We're not making any progress. We're staying in neutral. The car is on, but it's not going anywhere.
I guess my first question is, how long would you give a person a chance to try to fix or try to change or try to make a difference or try to respect your worth in a relationship? Is there a
Um,
amount of time or there's a set procedure?
Well, for me at this age and today, let's see, October the 6th, 2024, I'll give you 6 months to a year. And I might be a little too generous because I'm too old. I mean, as a grown man, I'm not talking to, I don't talk to anyone younger than I am. I talk to older gentlemen, and it's like you should at least know by 45, 50, 60 years old what you want out of a relationship. There should be no questions. All your playing around should be done and over with.
Mm-hmm. But in the relationship, now you know, a relationship there are stages. In a relationship, you just don't go into a relationship and go to straight to number one and okay, we're together and everything is great. There's a stages in a relationship. You know,
And
there's
some
stages.
relationships. But
Mm-hmm.
when you're dealing with older couples, that I don't think there's too many stages when you're 50 years old. Not in my opinion.
But a lot of time when you're 50 years old, you're setting your own ways.
You're
So
absolutely right.
not only is it the blending of the two people, but it's also going against the norm.
You're right.
You have to realize what's norm because normally people that age, you know, got their own place or have their own life established, got their own friends, and then when a new person come involved, you know, and especially if you guys are from different areas or different parts of the country and stuff like that. When you smile like that, Glenn, you got.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the chat comments.
Oh, I didn't. I'm serious. I didn't see the chat. I was busy talking.
I
Hey,
understand.
Andre must be here. Hey, Andre, glad to see you,
Yes,
sir.
he is.
but a lot of times when you're setting your own ways and you bring someone new in your life, and the desire and the excitement of having someone new will make you change. But even when you change, there's still work to be done. You know
Of
that
course.
runway is still, you know, runway is an area, a time of work because when you first get into that honeymoon stage or the intro stage, you know, some relationship, you have to put in the work, and then because then you want to be in a person's face all the time, you enjoy that person, never want a person out of your sight. Everything seems to go well, and then when you settle into that second stage where you and that person begin to now see each other more regularly, and then all of a sudden you start noticing the little things that they do that you don't like or the little things they do that cause you pause. And the norming stage, that's the norming stage when you start realizing that, and then you start making adjustment, and when you start making adjustment stage, you decide, are they a keeper or not a keeper? Now we've decided that they're a keeper. Now we're in a conversation now that we're saying we're invested 6 months to a year or 2 years in a relationship, and all of a sudden we realize that we made a decision maybe that wasn't the best decision we could have made about another person in our life, about our significant other, and we're reassessing, but we're not necessarily just going to throw it away or start all over again. We're going to, how do you build, or at least do you attempt to build or rebuild? Because that's part I want to stay in that part before we go any further. Because once we decide whether we're going to go or stay, then it's easy. Then because then the decisions work for themselves. But that part where you're making the decision whether you're going to go or stay, that I think that part needs to be where you're doing the most of the work because you need to value the situation because you don't want to be meeting a lot of new people over and over and over again going in your life because you get used up pretty quick that way.
And people are doing it today as we speak, and they really do not care.
I don't. I think people. So I think people care.
I don't think they care.
Audience, come on, help us out. Cause me and Glenn are stuck right about now. Help us
I'm
out.
not stuck.
For the conversation part, you're stuck. Okay, in the conversation.
I ain't stuck.
In the conversation, you're stuck. In the conversation, you're stuck because we need. You got to realize something. We don't have many at our age because the majority of people on this line tonight, you're somewhere between 35 and 65. That's the average age that's on this line tonight. So at this age, you don't have too many oops ahead of you.
Right.
Because you know sometimes they say you got more behind you than in front of you. So you don't have any oops. What was that, Andre? What was that one, Andre? Andre, share that one, please.
I was just saying, I think that people care, but I just think that sometimes they may not know how to, I guess, address that whole feelings, emotions, and that pride piece. Because just think about it, if a man really cares about the girl, doesn't mean he's going to be perfect, doesn't mean that he's not trying. It's just that sometimes the guy may not know how to navigate all of this newly found emotions and feelings. So it's something new to him that the woman already knows because she knew she wanted to be married at 5. He didn't know that to 35.
That's true. That is true. Because a lot of times a man got to convince himself that he wants to get married or he wants to go further. I understand exactly what Andre's saying. Because a lot of times,
Glenda's
because I,
facial expression, though, Glenda's facial expression says it all.
yeah, because wait, now hold up, Glenda, now hold up. Now, what Andre said has some merit there, because
Yeah,
I
from a
know
male's perspective, from a male's perspective,
I got
I
five
think men
sisters.
just want to be taken care of. And the only way they're going to get taken care of is they find a good woman to do it.
Yeah, but before we get to all that, we haven't gotten that far yet about getting taken
Okay.
care of. We still at a point.
I'm still disagreeing with you, Mr. Carpenter.
I have five sisters, so I've seen my sisters, operate, and I've seen ladies operate. I've seen young ladies even use a person's last name. They change they sound a different last name out. For instance, my sisters' last names are Carpenters. I've heard people sound out Browns and Joneses, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. Have you ever done that, Glenda?
No.
but I've heard young girls sound out another name because
Mm-hmm.
they're preparing themselves for that step.
Right.
Moms are prepared. Moms even prepare their daughters to be married, to be wives.
Now they do. They
Yeah.
do.
So when Andre say that guys don't really adapt as quick as women to getting married, that's true. Because a lot of times I sit with ladies and have conversations, and the first thing they say is, "We're dating for marriage." Whoa, slow your roll. We just started talking. I just
But
broke one
Anna,
drink.
wait a minute. I need to put a pin right there. But she told you she spoke her truth.
Yeah, ain't broke one drink.
Okay, that should have been your red flag. Do I need to continue or do I need to get up and leave?
No, it was a 2 drink minimum.
Oh boy.
I'm just having fun, y'all. I'm just having fun.
No, if she said that to you, that she was letting you know up front that she's looking for a mate, a destiny mate. She's not looking for a one night stand.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
okay. Go ahead, laugh it off. Go ahead.
I'm trying to get back into this. I want to get serious here because this is a very serious subject.
I know why you're
And
laughing.
and let me back up. In relationships, it's you gotta look at self first. You gotta realize you gotta take care of yourself, because if you can't take care of yourself, you can't pour from an empty cup. So the first thing, you have to take care of yourself, and taking care of yourself is not selfish.
Right.
It's not selfish to take care of yourself, because in a relationship there's two people, and each should be whole and bring something to the table. So therefore, you've got to make sure that you whole, and that's self-care, and that's getting your needs met also in a relationship, because a relationship is a partnership,
Yes.
and both partners should be able to contribute and put something in and take something out. And tonight's subject is, man, how can you just walk away? A woman, how can you just walk away? That says unbalanced. Now, how do you take an unbalanced situation and make it balanced? Now that I think we've talked enough about the part about it's not balanced, and you realize that you're married or connected to a taker, and you're giving, and they're just taking, and you're being undervalued, underappreciated, and they're not communicating to you, and you feel like you're doing it all by yourself, and you're the odd man or the odd lady out. So now that you've got that, and our illustration is, I think Chandra was married for 12 years, and then Chandra decided enough was enough, and she divorced or separated from that individual, and she started her life anew. Now let's talk about that part. Let's go into how do you start all over once you've walked away and you've realized that it's not serving you. There's no way you can rekindle. There's no way you can reconcile. There's no way you can put that back together. That Humpty Dumpty just broke and will not be repaired. So how do you go forth now? Let's talk about finding yourself. I think one of the things you said that she found some hobbies or something that she did. Okay, I think our Chandra that's on the line said 12 years is too long. Chandra, you're right. 12 years is too long, Chandra. But back in the day, before Reset the Healthy Relationship, before we came along, people stayed in the relationships long time because first, the families wouldn't let them go, societies wouldn't let them go, the preachers and the churches wouldn't let them go, and everybody was saying, no matter what it is, stay. As a matter of fact, I was on a conversation earlier today, and someone said that, hey, look, no matter what your husband doing, you can't let him go. You just put your head down and stay there, pretty much. And back in the day, it was that way because I remember when I was a kid, my dad used to come home every Friday and Saturday night drunk with no money and been worked the whole week. And it would fight my mom because she would say, hey, my dad name was Pete. Pete, where the money at? And my dad would start a fight just because he didn't have no money.
Right.
And he blew his money out in the street. And my mom stayed with him until she died. So, 12 years do seem like a long time. But back in the day, you stayed regardless.
Yeah, that's true. That was back in the day, though.
Yeah, I'm sure some of the people on this line, their parents the same way. They seen the time where their mom and dad stayed together, no matter who did the dirt in the relationship. All right, now you're talking about who's that? 2024 women? Like, Andre, what do you mean about the 2024 women, Andre?
I just noticed that, like, I hear what you're saying about just sticking it out because the reality is, while we may not want to acknowledge that that's what's really happening, Waiting to Exhale was almost 20 years ago, and people still waiting to exhale in 2024. So the reality is people are still sticking with Raekwon, who got his 4 baby mamas, because they love him. They don't know why they love him, but they love him. And Raekwon's trying to figure out who to navigate between Shaquita and Stephanie, because he loved one of them, but he don't know which one yet. And I'm just like, in my mind, I think people are still struggling with this whole emotional piece, trying to figure out how do they be mature and responsible and deal with this emotion at the same time and not hurt nobody.
That's quite interesting. Anybody want to answer that? Anybody in the audience want to answer that? Because that's a strong piece he just put out there. Anybody in the audience want to tackle it?
That's a man question.
You sure? That's like a lady question.
Yeah, because why does Raekwon have 2 different women?
Because they let him.
Oh, you're right. So I would think that Raekwon need to pick one, or one of them women need to say either it's going to be one or none.
Let me see. What was it? Okay, Chandra asked a question. The question was, Andre said in 2024, the women as well as the men, that a lot of women will hold on to a person even though they know that this person has someone else, or even they know this person is not the best person for them, even if they know this person don't have their best interest at heart, that women in 2024 will hold on. And my question to you was, answering his question, why is that so?
Well, hi, how y'all doing?
Hey, Chandra, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Me personally don't think that's correct. Now in these days and time, no. Back then, yeah, they hold on because they felt like they needed a man for security and all of this other stuff. But women now don't need that from a man. The only thing they need now is just like, what they call, companion, or just the, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, Women don't need that from a man now. We have our own thing going on. So I don't agree with that. With from what he said with the 2024 women now, I don't agree with that.
Anybody else on the line want to comment? Got any more comments?
Good evening.
Yeah,
This is
make
Go ahead,
can
Annette
I?
first. Go ahead, Annette first.
So I think people do things until they'll take something good or bad until it hurts. When they begin to start feeling some type of pain for themselves, then they begin to scramble out of it or try to figure a way out of it. So they might let their partner do whatever they want to do, not saying that they don't know that is not good for them or is bad to them or whatever, but it's not hurting them bad enough yet. When they begin to feel the real pain of it, then they begin to stop it and they begin to decide, no, I'm not going to take this anymore, or I'm going this direction, or this is or that has to happen. They begin to fight for themselves, but they don't do it until it hurts. That's why I think they allow us.
And that's where the 12 years come in, Chandra, that we're talking about. That's where the 12 years come in. Some, it takes that long to hurt because a lot of, especially women feel like you're nurturers. Women feel that if I love you strong, now I'm sorry, I'm a man, but this is what I've seen. I'll say that way. Some women I've known feel that they love you strong enough, you'll change. I can change this man. All I just need to love him right. And that's one side of it. I'm not going to say the second side until later on in the conversation.
Hello?
But that's one side.
Oh, can I speak now?
Yes, you can, Sharon. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi. Okay. I agree. I don't think women really actually hold on. If they do keep the man, they only doing it because of what they're getting from that, whether it's the sex or some kind of benefit that they do enjoy that he's still able to do, or they either holding on because they're waiting to make their exit because they got somebody else in mind too. That's the reason I feel like if they hold on, not per se because they love them or think that they could change them.
Okay. Fair enough. Any
That's
additional
another way of
comments?
thinking of it. Think it's
Any additional comments on that part? Okay. Ready to move on to the next section, Glenda?
yes. Let's see. All right. So we discussed how do you prioritize your emotional health in your relationship. We haven't touched that one.
Which one it is now, Glenda?
How do you prioritize your emotional health in your relationship?
Okay. That's an easy one. That's a very easy one. Anybody want to
Okay.
tackle it other than me? What's the question again, Glenda?
How do you prioritize your emotional health in your relationship?
Anyone else want to tackle that one before I jump in? You probably have to determine what it looks like. And that's true. Your emotional health is very important because a lot of times you got to realize something. We're feelings and emotions. Emotions come from your feelings. When you look at something or you feel or you focus, emotions come from your focus, then becomes your feelings. If you focus on your relationship and what you focus on that should be good, it should be a good relationship, but it's not. And you begin to focus on the fact that you're being mistreated, focus on the fact that you're not a priority, focus on the fact that you're stagnant in this relationship. When you start focusing on those things, and then your emotional feelings start getting to the point, I'm getting punked, I'm getting used, I'm being abused. Then when you look at it like that, you're saying, wait a minute, hold up, this is my boo, but this ain't working. Whether it's a spouse or whether it's a girlfriend or boyfriend, you realize that you start saying, wait a minute here. And I hate to bring out the ugly side of this because the ugly side of it is now, and we're talking about 2024, people are killing themselves, their kids, their families, their wives, their boyfriends. And this is all because of their emotional health. Their emotional health is getting them to that point. And think about it, you're in a relationship and you just and you seem like you lost y'all. You've given your spouse or your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, or wife all that you have. You've given everything you have. You've given yourself, you've given your money, you've given your time, you've given your resources. You would even give them your last breath. And this fool is just wilding out on you. How do you, and especially if you got what they call a hair trigger. If you got a hair trigger, it's a recipe for disaster. So that's why it's very important when you get in relationships, in that runway. When we talked about when you first start, when you get in the runway, you've got to kind of like make sure you understand. You got to look at all those red flags. You got to have a great communication with your spouse or significant others. You got to realize this is what you're looking for. This is going to this is going to help you go down the road the right way. Because emotions will get you hurt. Anybody else want to comment on that? Because I need to back down a little bit. I'm getting excited. I'm ready to throw up my dukes and hit somebody.
Don't do that.
Just having fun. Just having fun. Any more comments on it? Anybody else want to comment on that part? Because the emotions are very important. Like I said, it really hurts. It really, really hurts. It really hurts. And now here's the thing. When you start talking about emotions in today's time, especially in the African American community, a lot of times we don't see mental health. We don't go to a psychiatrist or a therapist or somebody professional to help us sort through this stuff. A lot of times we get a bottle of wine or a bottle of whiskey or some gin or something, and we sit down and try to figure it out on our own. We self-medicate. And when you start doing that with emotions, that's when problems come. So that's why this part is very important. We need to talk through this so we make sure we understand what it takes, because emotionally, if you emotionally charged in a situation, and all of us, I'm sure all of us have been in a situation when you, even with someone you really love, that you looked at them, and here's my favorite quote. This is one of my favorite things I like to say, and it's not going to come out right, but I'm going to say it.
Okay.
If you're a woman and your husband been cheating on you, and your husband just treats you all kind of way, and some nights you see yourself, you and him in the bed, and you sitting up in the bed, you can't sleep, and he's still snoring, I know you just want to turn off and just smack the shit out of him. I know, I'm telling you, this emotional stuff is real. It's so real.
I think I had a couple of them nights when I was married.
Shoot, I probably gave my wife a couple of them nights when I was married.
That was a good one, but I can relate to that one.
Yeah, and just I'm saying it as fun as a joke, but this is real stuff. This is real
Yes,
stuff.
it
I
is.
want you to be able to understand it. Right? If we don't have it, what Sharon say? Don't let emotions get involved. Sharon, say what was that? Sharon, you said it went too fast so I could read it. Sharon, come on your mic and tell me what you were saying. Sharon, still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
What were you saying? Because you're went back too quick. I couldn't see it.
I said I don't let emotions get too involved unless I'm really invested in that person.
But that's what we're talking about. We're talking about people that you're invested in. We're not talking about a stranger. We're talking about somebody that you're really invested in, and this is your future.
Oh, well, then somebody gonna get hurt. Oh, then somebody getting hurt. It ain't gonna be me.
Well, you said it wasn't going to be you.
It won't be me.
And that's why it's so important that you take a time. It's so important that you in that runway, or you and that person, those 5 steps that when you meet a person, those 5 relationship steps you go through and deciding who's going to stay in your life and who's not. It's very important you look at those things. It's very important.
Your selection process.
Yes. Because once you get too far up the road, it gets ugly quick.
It sure does.
And once again, we don't, as black community, we don't value mental health enough. We don't go to the psychiatrist or the therapist and sort things out. We majority of us self medicate, which is not the best way to do it.
No, because we get in trouble.
Yes, yes, yes. We got enough for this one. If you want to stay up just a little bit longer and move on to the next one, Glenda.
We can move on to the next one.
This is in that. Wait, this is in that. I want to say something.
Go ahead.
So, I think what we should do, even when we begin a relationship, I think we should, with our partner or whomever, we should discuss a strategy for exiting if it doesn't work.
Excellent.
We don't do it, but I think we should do it.
Excellent.
That's like
I
giving them
think
heads
change.
up.
And yeah, I'm like, it's better to discuss the exit or say, hey, this ain't working, and we know how to discuss it versus dealing with emotions, because emotions, like you just said, emotions are crazy. I know I crazy emotions. Like, if you
Annette, you broke Annette, you still there? It seemed like we lost you. Annette, did you drop?
He's still here.
Let you drop.
can y'all still hear me?
We can hear you now.
In and out.
Me?
We can hear you now.
Going in and
Okay,
out.
I'm sorry. It did go out. I'm sorry. Maybe can you hear me now still?
Yes,
Yes,
we can.
ma'am.
Go ahead. We'll let you talk. Go ahead.
Okay, I was just saying, I think way to tell, I could be a crazy person. So I think it's best that we discuss an exit strategy, because people change.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'm done.
Okay, as a relationship coach, we call that how do you handle conflict resolution in a relationship? And we tell you that when, like a lot of times when you come to counseling, or coaching, we tell you that you first should, like Annette said, you should have a way that you and your significant other handle conflicts within a relationship. And you address that before it becomes conflicts. Because when it becomes conflicts, if you don't have any mechanism or process already set up how you can handle it, it gets ugly quick. But when you already have a predetermined way how you guys handle conflicts in a relationship, it makes it easier to sort through some of this stuff. Because every relationship is not going to be perfect. And we all come from different backgrounds. We're all raised differently. We all have different values and goals. So there's times when conflicts do arise in relationships. So when they do arise, if you already have a mechanism in place on how you can handle conflicts, it works. Because you can have conflicts, for instance, when you first have your first child. What's going to be the religion of the child? What type of school system we can put the child in? Are we going to do, are you going to be breastfeed or not breastfeed? It's so many questions that come up in a relationship that if you have a mechanism in place for conflict resolution, it makes it easier. So great thing. Glad you brought that out, Annette. That was awesome. All right. Go ahead, Glenda. Go to the next. So we can go to the next one.
Okay. In what ways have you struggled with stepping away from a relationship, even when you knew it wasn't healthy? In what ways have you struggled with stepping away from a relationship, even when you knew it wasn't healthy?
Ooh, I got some good ones for that one.
Oh, wow.
But let the audience
Can
first.
I speak
Audience,
on
you
that?
go first.
Yes, go ahead.
Who is speaking? Whoever's speaking, go ahead.
Okay. With that, I think with me personally, I wanted to get out of a relationship, but I couldn't at the time because I was thinking about my kids. I always grew up. When I grew up, we grew up in a house full with women's, and my my mom had 5 kids, and all of us have different dads. And I always said that I would not want my kids, to have kids with with different men. I want my kids to have the same father. So when me and my kids' father got, we was married, it was hard to leave that relationship because of my kids. But after my kids got a little older, I dipped out, So at that time, it was hard for me then because my kid was young and they didn't understand at the time what was going on. But when they got a little older, we got out.
Okay.
And that's one. Any more? Any more reasons? That's one good reason. Any more before I weigh in?
No, you can go right ahead.
I love her too much to leave.
I'm gonna give me a new host.
What can I say? You you heard them records? What's that record by? What's that guy's name from Virginia that died not long ago? And he said his brother told him that the woman using him. He said, "Just use me up." Still with us.
It's probably an oldie but goodie.
Yeah, he said, "If you feel as good being used, keep on using me until you use me up."
Yeah, exactly. It was an oldie but goodie.
Yes, but there's a lot of reasons why people don't leave, why they struggle to go. It could be financial. It could be financial. It could be this person has been a paid master all this time, and all of a sudden, hey, you want to leave, but you don't have any substance with you. You don't have any way of taking care of yourself. You never worked. You don't want to work even now. And paid master over there slapping you around, but payday comes every Friday. There's and I'm not saying these are good reasons, but I'm saying these are reasons why people don't leave. Because you ask yourself, you say, well, the guy beat me. If he slapped me around, I would be gone.
Right.
Like Chandra said, children. The reason why you don't leave, and family, not just your children. Sometimes your mom. There was one movie that this mom told her daughter, "Don't leave that man. That's a good man. That man was married to somebody else." And it was one movie. Andre, you good with those movie things? It was Whitney Houston. What movie was that?
Wait until it's here.
Yeah, and Whitney Houston's mom told her, "Don't leave that man. That's a good man." And she told him, "Mom, he's so good. Won't you get him?"
Right.
So it's so many reasons why people don't leave.
I know that for myself, it was more so because of the church. The church spoke against divorce. And that was one reason why I stayed in longer than I felt like I should have. But after I tapped, I'd be like, y'all, I said, if y'all want them, y'all can have them, but I gotta go. I said I couldn't deal with it anymore. I said, no, I don't think this is what God had in store for me.
Yes, and one lady told me she didn't leave because she didn't know she could.
Yes, that is true.
She thought once she was married, you married for life.
No, somebody told her wrong.
Yeah. See, so it's a lot of reasons why people don't leave. And that's why I appreciate, Glenda, you for having this forum and having Sunday night at 9 so we can come together every week and we can talk about relationships. Because the format of this container called Sunday night at 9 p.m. is where you and 20 of your girlfriends are in your living room and you're talking about relationships and you're sharing your truth. You're being very open and honest because this is a safe place. You can actually say what you feel and feel what you say, and you can speak your truth. No one's going to laugh at you. No one's going to ridicule you. No one's going to say, "Oh, man, do you believe what she said last night? That was crazy." That's not this place. This place is a place you can speak because you never know if the sister beside you is having the same problems you have, but she's afraid to speak because she don't want you to know her business.
Right.
But some of the same things you going through, she going through, because we're all the same. We're all human.
Yes.
Okay.
And I wanted to say something about exiting. Once you realize who you are and that you are better than this, that I made my exit. I don't care what good part was in it. Once I realized, oh, I'm better than this and I don't deserve this, I'm out.
That's right.
And I don't look backwards.
That's right.
I look forward. So don't come back because I'm done. I stay long enough so that when I come to that conclusion, peace out.
Okay.
And that's how,
And
because we know we're better than that. And I always would go back to that scripture in the Bible, like when it talked about God being our first husband, and I thought, well, love shouldn't hurt. And I thought, I'm better than this. Why am I settling for less? I've given you time and that ain't working. You've run out of time. Tick tock.
And one of the things I want to say, the reason why a lot of us stay in relationships longer than we should, because the principle of first mention of first learning. If you were from a relationship and you saw your mother and father and they fought every weekend, and your mother didn't leave or your father didn't leave, no matter how toxic or dysfunctional it was, you build something inside of you that's saying that's the way it's supposed to be. So
No, I build inside of me. Oh, that ain't happening. That ain't happening over here. And that's the way I live. But my spouse thought, well, you ain't never going nowhere. Your mama did. I thought you got the names mixed up. Hers is Noah. Mine's is Angela. So we're looking at that. People actually look at that. I know, my ex-husband looked at that. I ain't going nowhere. That's what you think.
Yeah. And that's why it's very important that we have forums like this, because this is designed for women. This is a woman's forum, and anybody can be on it, but it's basically a women's forum where Glenda has come on board, and she's decided that she wants to help women get through exiting out of relationships a lot quicker than she did, because Glenda's relationship took her 18 years to recover and come back to life, and she felt, and after she realized it was too much, but she didn't have the support that she needed. And now she's come on board to make the support, because this container, Sunday Night at 9, is designed just for that. And within the next week or two, she's coming out with her full service agency and website and all that, where a lot of resources, and some of the resources are going to be free that you can take advantage of. And some you got to pay for, because some of them are going a little deeper than what we do here. But it's so much that can be done in the fact of learning about what's available to you. Because nowhere, a lot of church don't teach a lot of this stuff. School don't teach a lot of this stuff. So where are you going to get it from if they're not talking about it? Because finances and relationships are some of the places we make our biggest messes, and no one's talking about it. You see it on YouTube, but YouTube, you see a person sit there, a couple of people sit there, and they got a pre-script. They've got a script that they're talking from, and that script they're talking from is to get clicks or get exposure and stuff like that. Here we're a little different. Here we're talking our truths. We're actually talking, and we're talking what we feel in our heart, and it's no set script. And we talk, we make mistakes, and we just keep it real, and we tell it just like it is. All right, Glenda, it's getting to be about that time to go on towards home. Do you want to close us out, and you want to do the last couple of things, or how do you want to have?
I know that I put in the chat. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I did put the links to our upcoming events. The conference that is in Leesburg, Florida, as well as the cruise that is in October 2025. Both events are in 2025. All the instructions and how to get into contact with the person, or the link to click on to register, is all included in the links that I put in our chat tonight. I'm hoping that you can see it. Mr. Carpenter, can you see the links?
I'm going to chat now. Let me look in the chat.
Andre, can you see? He's my backup since you're a little slow.
Hey, I'm talking. I can't do two things at once.
You can't multitask.
I put my soul in everything I do, one at a time.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
click on this, see what happens.
Andre, can you see my
Something
link?
happened. I clicked on it. Something happened. What happened?
Oh, shucks.
Something happened.
Somebody said that they can't see it. Oh, Andre said he can't see it.
I'm clicking. Something's going on right now. Mine's clicking.
Oh.
Mine clicked.
So far, 2 people said that they can't see it.
Mine clicked, but mine went to Canva.
Right.
Yeah, contender and browser instead. Mine going to Canva. Okay. let me see if I can share. Maybe I can share my screen. Maybe I just got to share my screen. Uh-oh. Let me.
No, 3 people said that they can't see it. Did you give me access to?
Yeah,
You
you
have
everything. Let me share.
to,
Yeah. If they don't see it, well, we'll get it to them.
well, if you're interested, don't hesitate to reach out to either Mr. Carpenter or myself to get the links for the conference in June 25 and the cruise in October 2025. Mr. Carpenter, you sharing your screen? I don't see anything.
I don't see nothing either. I'm trying to get out of it. I'm sorry. Let me stop sharing because what you had up there took me every which way. All right,
Okay.
back. I'll share with everybody that I can about what's going on. The most important thing is that coming up on I think the 18th is our last day for your $25 deposit on the cruise because $25 will secure your cabin and spot on the cruise. And that cruise is going to be awesome. I mean, we've got so much stuff we've started stacking together. We're going to do with that. Our first night out, we're going to have Sunday night at 9 live on Carnival Vista. So we're gonna have a good time. Matter of fact, I'm not planning on sleeping that whole time. I'm just gonna act a fool the whole time we're there. So I'm forewarned. I'm just gonna have me a ball. So that's what we're gonna do. So make sure that you pay your $25 before the 18th.
October the 18th?
October 18th of this year. Make sure you pay your $25 will hold the spot for you. So that's awesome. That's awesome. What I'm getting so good rest on the cruise. You're not gonna get no rest on the cruise. That's a lie. You're gonna be partying with me, Andre. That's a lie. You ain't gonna get no rest, buddy. I can tell you that right now. We're gonna act a fool. All right, Glenda, take us home, girl.
Okay, as always, we thank you for your sacrifice for joining us tonight. We look forward to seeing you next week. If all hearts and minds are clear, let's go sleep. We will see you next week, Sunday night at 9. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Funny.
Good night.
Good night.